Excellency, Your Excellency Dennis Francis, President of the General Assembly, Deputy Secretary General Amina Mohammed, the Right Honorable Helen Clark, and Dr. Axel van Transberg, Senior Managing Director, World Bank Group, Excellencies, Ministers, Heads of Delegation, dear colleagues and friends. First, I would like to start by thanking the President and all Member States for endorsing the political declaration. This is a very historic day, and thank you so much indeed. The doctors were unable to cope since they were treating the disease for the first time and in ignorance. The more they come into contact with sufferers, the more liable they were to lose their own lives. In the end, people were overwhelmed by the disaster and abandoned efforts against it. I shall give a statement of what it was like, which people can study in case it should ever attack again, to equip themselves with foreknowledge so that they shall not fail to recognize it. These words could have been written last year. In fact, they were written in the 5th century BC by the ancient Greek historian Thucydides about the plague of Athens. Almost 2.5 millennia later, the COVID-19 pandemic has demonstrated that although much has changed, much has not. It's now more than 4 months since WHO declared an end to COVID-19 as a global health emergency. This virus touched every person on the planet in some way. It stole lives and livelihoods and caused massive social and economic upheaval. It exposed and exacerbated vast inequities and wide cracks in our defenses. And it reminded us that we are one humanity. A pathogen has no regard for the lines humans draw on maps, nor for the color of our politics or the size of our economies. We may be tempted to think that the COVID-19 pandemic is history. But history teaches us that COVID-19 will not be the last pandemic. The question we all face is whether we will be ready when the next one arrives. As leaders, we have a collective responsibility to make sure we are ready. We have a collective responsibility to protect the people we serve. We have a collective responsibility to protect our societies and economies. The political declaration you just have agreed today is a commitment that together we will live up to our responsibility. I thank Ambassador Omar Hilal of Morocco and Ambassador Gilad Erdan of Israel for your leadership of this process. I urge all countries now to take urgent action on the commitments you have made in support of the member state-led process in Geneva. To deliver a strong pandemic accord and effective amendments to the International Health Regulation by May next year, to ensure equitable access to vaccines, tests, treatments, and other medical countermeasures, to fight back against mis- and disinformation that erodes trust, to protect communities by investing in primary health care, to strengthen the global health workforce, to make equity the driving force for change, and to build a stronger WHO at the center of the global health architecture. Even before the pandemic, WHO was transforming to become more effective and efficient. And we will continue to transform. Just as countries are learning the lessons from COVID-19, so we are learning those lessons. We're committed to serving you to fulfill the vision that nations had when they founded WHO 75 years ago. Their conviction then remains our conviction now, that health is not only a fundamental human right, but it's also fundamental to peace and security. Health is a fundamental human right, an end in itself, also a means to development. A healthier world is a safer, fairer, more peaceful, and more prosperous world. I thank you, Mr. President, and back to you.
I now invite Mr. Axel von Trostenberg, Senior Managing Director of the World Bank, to make a statement.